Hey y'all, I'm Mayer Cunningham, the special education boss. If you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated at the 504 IEP table, you are in the right place. Every week, I'm breaking down the rules, the rights, and the realities of special education so you can walk into meetings informed, empowered, and ready to make real change. And whether you're a parent, a teacher, an advocate, a school-based member, or somebody who's just trying to do right by a student, this podcast gives you straight talk, real answers, and tools that you can use immediately. I'm not here to play politics. I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to train people who sit at the table and teach you how to follow the law, ask the right questions, and protect the rights of students. So go ahead and hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change. We're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. You guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining the show. If you haven't met, I'm Mayer Cunningham, special education boss, training everyone that sits at the 504 IEP table. And we're so excited today to have on the show Sarah Harter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So good to meet you, see you. Sometimes you just cross paths with people and it's like you already knew them your whole life, but you just met. And that's the way I felt when I met Sarah. She had an amazing story about the trials that she's walking through with her child and, challenges with disability. And I just wanted her to be able to share that because it was so moving for me. All of us, when we're in the special ed space, we kind of get stuck with where we are. And I think that she has a unique perspective in that, that it impacted her child medically. And so she was kind enough to come on and share her story with our followers.
Do you want me to just kind of go into our story? So my daughter Mia is now 12, but she actually was born early. She was born at 5 weeks and 3 weeks, at 5 weeks and 3 days early. And so she ended up in the NICU on oxygen, tons of antibiotics. She was actually supposed to be a stillborn, they told me afterwards, because of what ended up happening in my body. And right away we noticed like something's not right. But I, at the time, was an anesthetist. So they just told me I was paranoid over and over. Because when you work with people, they kind of just are like, oh, it's probably just because you're concerned and it's your first child. And we actually had a lady, and I know this is like a God thing now, looking back. She came to us, we went at 12 weeks, right before I went back to work, came up and was like, you need to take your daughter and there's something wrong with her. And I was just more shocked that somebody would like insult my daughter than listen to like, I feel like God like reaching out and being like, you need to take your daughter in. And so shortly after that, though, I did start having my daughter checked. Something was wrong with her eyes initially. And they're like, oh, and then she walked really, really, really late. And they never put her in birth to 3. They never looked at it, even though I kept bringing up these concerns, like she's not crawling, she's not walking. And they were like, oh, she'll get there. It's because she's a preemie. And I was like, okay. Finally, at 2 years old, she had started walking, which is great. And then all of a sudden she started regressing. She started falling. Like she couldn't walk more than 2 or 3 steps without just falling over. And it was absolutely terrifying because my husband, who works in electronic recycling, was like, I think something's wrong with her. And he doesn't think anything's wrong ever. He's one of 9 kids, but 110 cousins. So he's like, I've seen it all. He also thought I was a little paranoid. And I called up people I knew at work because I worked in the hospital. So it was honestly a godsend. And I'll never forget it. I called for a second opinion on her eyes, got into AFCH, and they were like, you can come on Tuesday. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I think I need an MRI though. So we also met with neurology that week, and neurology came in and they told us she was going to die. They were like, she has chronic progressive ataxia. This is her path. She will like basically just keep progressing. Eventually she'll be wheelchair bound and then she will die. And that was one of the hardest.
So they said that to you after the MRI?
This is before we knew what was going on. This is before they knew anything. We went through her medical history and the neurologist was like, yeah, she's gonna, and he had really bad bedside manner, obviously. But that is what we were told in September. It was, I think, like September 18th. And I remember just being like, oh, like bawling, like so shocked, but like crying. But our daughter's there, so you're trying not to cry.
Right.
She's 2 at the time, so she doesn't comprehend what any of this means. And then we went to Madison for this eye appointment that I already scheduled. And she was like, has no one told you your daughter has Duane syndrome? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So I was like, no. So Duane syndrome is where like the sixth nerve, which is one of your cranial nerves, which wraps, it does like a 90-degree angle inside your brain, gets pinched off, and like it causes your eyes to just kind of float around a little more. And so she was like, she needs an MRI though immediately. And I was like, well, good thing we got one scheduled. And at the time it was scheduled for November 10th. And I went back to work, and I pulled aside one of our neurosurgeons who I'm very grateful for. And I was like, Jerry, like, what do you think? Like, it's either metabolic, it's genetic, or it's structural. And he's like, well, it's probably not structural. It's most likely metabolic or genetic, but you work here. Like, go down to MRI and see if they can fit you in. He's like, why would you put yourself through that for another month, Sarah? And I was like, okay. So I went down to MRI and I talked to them, and they're like, well, let us look. And so they actually were like, we have an opening Wednesday. And I was like, wow, I'm supposed to work a 12-hour shift that day, but okay. So I went and talked to some coworkers, and this man, Patrick, probably was amazing and switched with me. And they got our daughter in, and I remember we went for the MRI. I know how long MRIs are supposed to take. I mean, I got sadly a pass to the whole hospital because I work in anesthesia, because we go everywhere. And an hour and a half, they still haven't gotten back to us. And I'm like, this is taking way too long. So I went down there, and they can't say anything. Like, a doctor has to find you and give you the results. But our doctor wasn't working that day. So I ran into the anesthetist, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, it just took a really long time to get IV. Well, then 2.5 hours go by. And I'm like, okay, this is way too long. Like, something's wrong. And I tracked down the anesthesiologist I'd requested and pull him aside, and he's like, no one's found you yet. And I knew in that second my daughter was not okay. And I just crumbled to the ground, and I don't really remember the next like hour. I just remember like bawling because I knew my daughter had a brain tumor at that moment. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry. Do you think after,
you never have to say you're sorry. Yeah, pain is pain. You know.
Poor Dr. Groshek had to come in, our anesthesiologist, and tell my whole family. My sister stepped out of work. My mom is an anesthesiologist too. My sister was an anesthetist. And so we all understand this. And they're like, he just told us. And so he's like, why don't you go back and wait for her and pack you? And so I waited, and our neurologist came in. It was his day off, and he came in, and he's like, you have two choices. You can go to Madison to AFCHH tonight, or you can go to Mayo, but your daughter needs a brain tumor resection emergently because it was so large. So they had missed it for 2.5 years. They think she was born with it. And like I said, I've been bringing up things for years, and people just dismiss you.
Right. Especially when it's your first child. You're like, oh, they'll grow out of it. Yeah.
Yes. And we found out like, I wasn't crazy, which was kind of a relief in one way. But on the other hand, I was like, oh, I wish I would have been crazy, obviously. So we drove to Madison that night. It was a blur. I had a 10-month-old at the time. Took him with because he was still nursing. And we pulled in, and our neurosurgeon was doing the mirror image tumor on another little girl. And the surgery had been like 15 or 16. It was forever long. So he stayed up and stayed at the hospital till midnight talking to us, walking us through this. They canceled, I think 5 surgeries or 4, I can't remember. It was a lot of other surgeries. They were like, nope, hers is like, you have to insert, she's not going to make it. So very thankful for Dr. Iskandar, like just saved my daughter's life. And so she went in, she got tested on, got there on a Wednesday night, Thursday testing, Friday was a 17-hour brain tumor resection is about the size of a baseball. So it was, the girl who went in and the girl who came out, weren't the same kid. She was 2, but she was a different child. She couldn't walk when she got out. She could no longer, she was potty trained. She could not hold her urine to save her life. That lasted a couple of years. She had slight paralysis on her left side. She has no facial sensation still in the left side of her face. she had, from the surgery, she got a big ulcer in her eye. So she couldn't see out of one of her eyes. She was actually blind for a long time in that eye. Lost her hearing in one of her ears from the surgery. Got severe foot drop. So we ended up in like orthotics too when she was doing assisted walking. And so like this tumor sat in the bed of cranial nerves, which is like your kind of like your computer circuit board of your
Right.
so when they removed it, they didn't have a choice. They got about 85% of it. It just tore at all the cranial nerves that it was embedded in. So, but it did save her life. And so we're really thankful for that. But as soon as we got done, they're like, oh, she'll turn 3 in like 3 months. So she needs to start school immediately. And that, so we met with the school as this is, and they were like, yep, she medically qualifies, she physically qualifies, she like, cognitively we're really blessed. She didn't lose cognition. Her speech actually improved. That was the one area that came back because she had been a really great talker. And then right before the brain tumor resection, her speech had started to go because the tumor had just gotten so large. It was compressing the fourth ventricle, all this stuff. So yeah, so we started school immediately, and it was a whirlwind because it was also my first child. It was the day she turned 3. It was about 5 months after her brain surgery. And then I wasn't really ready to leave her. My husband and I were like, who's going to stay home? Like they're like, oh, aren't you going to move to Madison? And we're like, well, we own a company. We can't really just move. They're like, well, everybody who gets this diagnosis, because it's a lifelong diagnosis more, because it's not operable, moves. And they're like, there's a ton of therapy and there's treatment. And we're like, well, we'll figure it out. So we started school, and school initially went to the public school. Because she was at public school, they put her on all the things, and it was great while we were there. And then when she was going to go into 4K, they were like, we want to put her in a special classroom for only kids who have disabilities. And that was hard because she cognitively was totally fine. And it was the one thing she kind of had going for her. Because she had to have someone help her walk, or she had to get pushed around. And we did lots of therapy, so she could kind of walk slightly independent. She more just had to like hold on to someone. And we're like, but we also want her to have like her social skills, and we also want her to be able to learn with her peers. And they were like, well, it's just easier for us if we can put all the kids with paras in this other classroom.
Oh, that sounds like a great plan. It's easier for us. Yeah.
Yes. But it wasn't what was best for her. So we just prayed about it. Honestly, we were like, Lord, what should we do? Like, where should we go? And we started like going to different private schools in the area to see what they offered. And we ended up settling at a local parochial school, and they were great. They were amazing. The public school came to us, and they were like, well, if you switch, you don't get any services. And I was like, well, I don't think that's totally true. My sister was a PT, and we actually were working with doing like clinics with other like PTs who had been like service providers for schools before. So they kind of stepped in and helped me a little bit because I didn't know what I was doing. It's so overwhelming. It's so nice that you're around now. Like I would have killed for this.
Yeah.
Like literally 10 years ago.
And you just assume that the school, if they said something, you can take it to the bank, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like she has to be in this room with disabled children. And you were like, okay.
Yeah. And at first I was fine with it, but then I was like, wait, what about math? What about like her like long-term future? Like, what about making friends? Nobody wants to hang out with the kid who has an adult around them 24/7.
Right.
Like socially, she was already really struggling because she already was so different. So we switched to private school, and they were, the OT right away was like, I will not follow your daughter or help her at private school. And she didn't. She never did anything but observe her. She's like, I'm not obligated to do anything but observe her. And I said,
wow,
okay.
How warm and fuzzy.
She was not a warm, fuzzy person. Speech also stopped, but I wasn't super concerned about that because we were just really blessed. We searched really, really hard to find a good therapy support team. So we drove every single week until she was 6 to Madison. And then we would go every 6 months for a month at a time to do what are called intensive therapies. So you do 4 hours of therapy every single day for 4 weeks. And it's kind of like it actually rewires the brain. So there's a book, it's called The Boy Who Could Run But Not Walk. Because by rewiring your brain, you can create these new pathways, right? Like we all know about neuroplasticity now. It's just like a new greatest thing, right? And it is, and it works. That's actually how she learned how to rewalk. That's how she, that's how she can dance now. And we just had, I think I mentioned this to you before this, she had a neuropsych eval and they were like, she should not be able to dance. Like based on her testing, there's no way she should be able to do that. And I know it's all because of dosing. And the dosing schools provide and the dosing hospitals provide is not enough to help kids who really need that extra push to overcome obstacles. So like if we do like the maintenance dosing that school gives or the maintenance dosing that hospitals give, it maintains you. Like it will keep you steady. It'll keep you from regressing, but it won't help you like reach the new level that a lot of kids could use, right? They just have to work a lot harder, which is a lot. It's really hard. It's emotionally draining. But then to have independence, I mean, how amazing is that?
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yes. So when you were, I just want to go back to this whole thing.
Yes.
This sort of, it's just like nails on a chalkboard. People often think, well, it's just the schools that you have been in, and it's just not, right? And we all have biases. If somebody walked up and weighed 600 pounds, immediately in my mind, I would have a ticker tape of how they got there, right? And so, kiddos that have what I call known disabilities, right? It's not ADHD, like we can all see it, for lack of a better word. We just have such a bad habit of just going, they go to this room. Here's this room, right? And kids have a thing called capacity, right? And just like your daughter learned to dance. And, for people listening, often people that have a child that's medically complex, or I say that they have equipment, right? They have a gait trainer or whatever. They're often told it'll be safer here. It's better. The numbers are smaller. And I think the most important part of school is actually the rub, right? That this is how life works. I get a teacher I like. I get a teacher that doesn't like me. And so, you're very blessed that you were able to access other services. But when you had that meeting, if you can remember, was it just a few people slid some paper over? Did they say, let's talk about options?
I would say it was very light on the option talk, like very light.
We didn't have it.
Options. It was more like we're like kind of like voluntold.
Yeah, voluntold, yes.
I would call it like a version of that, if that makes sense. Of like, this is what we're offering and you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And if you choose to deviate from what we do, we will pull your services. So I was really lucky because the PT stuck with us, but he knew my sister and went to school with her. So I'm pretty sure that's why he stuck with us. Because it was brought up to us several times, like, well, he shouldn't really be going over to your school. And I'm like, it's literally 3 blocks from the public school. It's not like it's really ruining his day by moving over there. But he just was like, Mia really needs this, so I'm willing to come and meet her. But then the next one is we just pulled them last year for homeschooling. And it was amazing because she's always needed 3 or 4 services. But all of a sudden when I was going to homeschool, she no longer needed anything at all.
It's amazing, isn't that? Right? It is a miracle.
Yeah.
Because yesterday she did. Today she's actually teaching it. Yeah. I said there's a lot of
school. She get everything, and she get the full gamut. So, it's I really struggle and have a lot of compassion for families who don't have a choice.
Which is most people. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have obviously a huge heart for cancer, just because that's the road we live. And also not even just like the services and stuff, because those kids also have special services that they need during that time.
Right.
But just how people naturally, even outside, kind of like segregate themselves and their kids from any kid with those behavioral or chronic diagnoses. Their families actually do. And even the parents that you wouldn't expect it from, that maybe work in social services or something, where you think they'd be more compassionate. But it's like, oh, but that's a lot for my kid to process, that your kid has that. Like, I don't really want to talk to my kid about about cancer yet. And I was like, but that's our life.
Right.
So I was like, my kid's known about it since 10 months old. Like,
yeah, I always see that when you have a child with a disability, it leans out your friend list, and it really leans out your family list. Like, a lot less gifts have to be bought. Because, we as parents, I just had my second grandchild was just born, and I see it in my daughter. I didn't remember it in me, but we just sit around as moms going, sorry, period, right? And then, like, we're apologizing for, a child that's walking through their trials.
Oh, it cut out for a hot second there. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So, kind of tell us a little bit. So I want to share for those of you that are listening, if you live in America and if you are in a school district, do they have to give you every special ed service in the world? No, but almost always they will provide an option for you to receive related or instructional services, right? Music therapy, physical therapy, Braille, O&M. So when you get an answer that doesn't sound right in your knower, in your mom thing, go ahead and press into that, because the services are available, but special ed is only for the squeaky wheels. It just is, right? And so make sure that you get those services, because your kid can benefit, whether they're homeschooled, whether they're at a private school, they can still offer the services. So kind of tell us a little bit more about how she's doing now, how amazing she is.
Well, she is amazing. She, like I said, we just had our neuropsych eval, and that was hard for her. She still has a lot of challenges that, like, I have 3 more children, and none of them have the challenges she has. She just works a lot harder than them, and everything takes a lot longer, which is frustrating. I think emotionally, as she's gotten older, like, because she's 12 now, we've really, really seen just all the stuff that's kind of built up, right? It's kind of like you're slowly adding bricks and the wall's there. And now we have to figure out how to kind of knock it down. And so she's doing great in terms of, like, academics. She's part of her dance team. She did try, like, volleyball at our private school, and that went really bad because, I mean, when you have 240 vision, you're not probably seeing the ball coming real fast. And for example, like, praxis is the delay in processing, right? So her praxis, she's below the 2 percentile. Like, that's really low. So seeing a volleyball coming at your face is really difficult. So she wasn't a star volleyball player, but she really wanted to be part of the team. And so I asked the coach ahead of time, like, will we be, like, is this really non-competitive? Like, not a big deal. Like, I was like, I'm going to tell you where she stands before we start. And they're like, oh no, we want her on the team. This is about community and this is great. She'll be fine. We just sub everybody in the same. And I was like, okay, that is not what we experienced. And it wrecked her. It wrecked her. So we learned, we just don't do sports like that.
So do you have, does she receive vision services?
We do. Yeah. Well, we pay for them. So we do vision therapy. She did 3 years straight of where she would go 3 days a week, and then she'd do 3 days at home. And she finally was able to get fusion back of her eyes. She had no fusion of her eyes before that. And then, so we did vision therapy, which was awesome. And then we'd taken a break for about 2 years, and she'll restart up again this year to start working on visual motor. So that's, like, a little different. So now we're done with the fusion. Now she's going to start restarting. And it's high intensity again. It's like that whole remapping. And so we go to see a wonderful Dr. Runnerling, and her visual tech that works with her is Jennifer, and she will work with Mia on speeding that process up. I don't even know what that looks like, but they'll teach us. They integrate, like, all these different things. And I know that it is a service that is available for people, because we have a ton of people that are part of our, like, homeschool co-op that are on IEPs, and they get those services through, like, Academy of Excellence and like different online schooling that are through public schools, if they're on an IEP. But oddly enough, that was never, ever offered to us when we went to school.
Well, I mean, So such a minor detail. So American Printing House for the Blind, APH, vision services are actually the most funded services and have been in place the longest since 1863, which sometimes I feel like that was the day I was born. But definitely reach out to the American Printing House for the Blind. You're too young to remember, but when I was little, we had the Sears Roebuck catalog. An American Printing House for the Blind will send you a catalog, and the adaptive materials and visual supports they have are amazing. So everything from a volleyball that would make noise as it's coming to you.
Oh my gosh, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. American Federation for the Blind, and so in fact, the American Federation for the Blind National Conference every year is $25. It's $25. And I never felt so more inept than when I went to the conference. Like they got it, and they're yellers. Pittsburgh, we're over here, and they all have their white canes. They don't need your help. And so just being there and looking at all the booths and materials that they had when you have a vision impairment, like, so if I said, oh, look, an orange squirrel just ran out there. Well, all of us that don't have a vision, we can see that, right? And so ways to compensate for that loss, whether it's tactile, auditory, right, that you have to compensate with those other services, but wherever you are, wherever you receive schooling, whether you're a child or an adult, American Printing House for the Blind is amazing. Reach out to them, American Federation for the Blind. There's so many services that are available.
That is so cool. I wrote that down. I will absolutely.
So good. So good. Yeah. Now, did you have, so kind of, you were sharing your story with me, and, you know, when you talk about kiddos that are ill, and I've had several kids over the years that were ill, to the degree that your daughter, has walked through. Do you have other, I mean, obviously leans out your friend and other list. Do you have other support groups, homeschool or agencies or camps or?
Yeah, so we belong to a co-op, and next year she'll move up to like more of like a middle school, high school co-op, where we meet once a week. And they do like the in-person stuff there. Like, so all the science experiments get done while you're together, but then at home we work on everything else. And you can pick and choose a la carte classes, which has been really, really helpful for her. Cause then the things that are harder where you need that praxis speed, we just do those at home because that was something she always struggled with. She would go to school and she would learn math, but she couldn't keep up fast enough to go through the lessons. So we would sit at home for like 2 hours at night and relearn how to do it. And then she'd go to the test and she'd get 100%. But it's because she just couldn't keep up during the lesson to process the information they were putting on her. So that's really helpful. We're part of that. Have you ever heard of Lighthouse Family Retreats?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So we volunteer with them now. And so we're actually going on a mission trip. We leave Saturday with them. And so we were served 3 years ago and we just love them. And we've met amazing friends through there and just a great support system. They're just, I mean, I've never met anybody there that isn't like caring and compassionate, and they're so inclusive. Like when you go there, and anybody can volunteer for it. It's amazing. They don't differentiate between a cancer child and a regular child, which is so nice because everybody is literally treated the same. And then the parents get a chance to spend time with other parents that have walked similar journeys. It was the first time, it was my kid's favorite thing they've ever done. She's obviously a Children's Miracle Network child, so she's done that before too. She's not quite as close with that organization. It's just a little harder. I think where we just live in a small local town, so it's not like they have lots of get-togethers and stuff. And then I think just being part of that special needs group, you kind of make friends with people who have walked similar journeys, so you share common interest. So we have a friend that I just love. Their son just had a detethering of his spinal cord, which is a huge surgery and so hard. And he had spina bifida or he has spina bifida. And but walking their journey and getting to support them is like so important. So all they wanted was to have pop tabs collected in his honor. So we tried to even just go out and ask other schools, like, and at our company, we'd collect them. And then we asked local schools to help collect for them. And everybody was willing to, that we went and talked to about it. And so I think, like you said, your community shrinks, but then at the same point, if you do ask people to help, a lot of people want to help. I think a lot of people are just scared to help. They don't know how to come alongside you. And they also they're like, I don't know what to say. And I think that's always a really big struggle for people is how do I respond to somebody who's going through this? Because I can't relate.
Right.
But sometimes I don't need someone to relate. I just want someone to chat with.
Right. I always say that I love to go to hospitals because they have a gift shop and I can park clergy, and people don't know what to say, which is why they avoid. Right. And I always say just a regular conversation. We're here today, have a conversation and see how you can support them. I remember you and I were talking. I remember when my son had autism and he's little and we got respite, and the lady said she would come. I was like, why didn't you know what to do? Because this had been my whole, like, what do people do that aren't trapped in their house with a child that needs 24 hours? You know what I mean? I was like, I guess I could drive somewhere. It was just because your reality, your trauma, your hill, your mountain, it is just your life, right? We're not going, oh, yay, it's spring break. Oh, super summer. We're like crying, not right. And so I would say, though, as much as kind of as we're sitting here, I'm thinking about it, my friends list shrunk, but the relationships that I have, I believe, are so much more rich than if I never had a child that had challenges. Because you just get into it with people. Like, we're not even pretending that everything's okay. Like when you go to church, how are you? Too blessed to be stressed. I'm like, weren't you just yelling at your husband in the minivan? Yes, I was. Right. And that we can just be real with people because, we're not going, oh, I'm sorry, the living room's not picked up. Like this, I'm just trying to keep him in the building. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, in a way, I'm so blessed for this community. And understanding that parenting period is hard. I always say if my kids came with a manual, I definitely left it at South Austin Hospital, right? Yeah. And nobody has a framework to walk this if you haven't walked it, right? Or even if somebody else in your family had a like story. I think when you and I were talking before, I just people, and as somebody that gets in trouble for talking, I'm one of them. But you'll post, somebody will post, oh, my daughter has whatever. My uncle had that. He died from it. Like, sir, don't put that online. Or people like, they try to one up you, really. And so we just have to love on people, right? We don't have to fix anything, and just ask them, what can we do for them? And people will tell you, right? But you need community. You need when you're walking through something hard with your kids, you need support, and almost always it's not family. I know you have an amazing family. I always say that we have family and relatives. Sometimes they're not the same thing. But so thankful for all those relationships. So when you have a child that has, is it called pediatric cancer? Is that how they describe it? Or
yeah, so she's part of the Brain Tumor and Cancer Society. Like she's part of that division. So they actually have special camps. So she has a pilocytic astrocytoma, and it sits in her brainstem and her pons. So the hardest part about it, if you know what the brainstem, that controls your heart rate and breathing. So the tumor being there is, and then it's really deep in her cerebellum. So they've done 2 resections on her. So yeah, there's no such thing as a benign brain tumor, which is really hard. And it's a really common misunderstanding. And I actually asked our doctor, I was like, well, it's a brain tumor. Is that different? Like, they're like, no, it's still part of cancer. I was like, oh, okay. Like that was a hard misunderstanding, right? Like, because some people.
Yeah, I always heard that brain cancer is the slowest growing and the easiest to recover from.
You were told what?
That it's the slowest growing and it's the easiest to recover from.
Oh, 1 second. It's cutting out really bad. I'm so sorry, but my phone will die here. 1 second, Karen, and I do not want to lose you. Oh, of course, this happens to me. So, hang on. My camera. Yes. Okay. Can you see me now? Can you hear me? I was
yes. Yes.
So sorry.
No, that's fine. So I'm gonna, if you will send, we can put the information for it's Lighthouse. Is that the whole Lighthouse?
Yeah, Lighthouse Family Retreat.
Oh, okay. And then do they provide services nationally, or is it specific in the cold tundra where you live?
No. That's down in Georgia. It's based out of Georgia. So my family and I, we're like so passionate about it. Like there's a few families that come from the north, but most of them are all like southern based. Like they have a retreat location. They're retreats. So there's a retreat location in Fort Myers, like it's on the Panhandle of Florida. Like I'm not good with that. Like it's on the Panhandle. We go to St. Simon's, and then they also do North Carolina as well. So they have like different retreat locations. They host about, I think 24. I could be off on the number because I don't work for them. 24 retreats a year for families that are going through various things. And then they also host special retreats. And this is one of the ones we work at, or we volunteer at, is Sunrise. So it's families who have lost a kid to cancer, which is just like a whole new realm. And it's just beautiful because those people, I think, really struggle to have community because it's just a smaller population of people that really can relate. I mean, you lose a child, it's just a whole new level of devastation. And and so their community, I mean, we had families and they're just beautiful. Their stories are beautiful and they still love their child and it's still their child. And like you said, the families get smaller. There's people who are like, I don't want to hear about my grandson anymore because he's dead. And it's like, but that's still my child and I still want to talk about him.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
So we're just like really, really blessed that my kids love going. Like it's their favorite thing to do all year is to go and serve at these retreats. They get so excited to just be able to they view this as like, these are their people because they're people who just like love Jesus and want to serve other people who are struggling. And so it's really, and it is a really fun time. But
and how long is it? Is it a few days? Is it a week?
They have various ones. So they have weekend retreats, but the ones we go on are always a week. So they start like we show up on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then the families come on Monday, and the families leave on Saturday. So and then we live on Saturday too. So it's about 5 to 6 days. So they're
so good.
But like
so good.
They're really like filled. Like you spend time. It's called like flip flop time. So all the kids are taken. They do arts and crafts with them. They take them to swimming, or they take them to the beach, or like and just do fun stuff. And then they have like a night of worship, and they have a night like a date night for the parents where we watch them, and an unbirthday party, because often when you're in these treatments, like I would say my daughter averages about at least one appointment every other week. It's been that way since she was 2. So for 10 years I spent a ton of time at the hospital. And just like random things too that like just other kids don't have to go through. Like she got braces, which is great. She got braces. But she can't feel the side of her face. So her tongue kind of drifts, and it was like causing her teeth to become impacted. So they put these tongue tamers on the back of her teeth. It sliced a hole in her tongue. It got infected. And we wound up in the ER. And, you know, multiple trials later of different antibiotics to try to figure it out because they didn't know. We had to go back, get the tongue tamers off. Our orthodontist was amazing. He was like, we will figure it out at some point. He's like, we'll figure out how to do the tongue later. Let's heal your daughter first, which I really appreciated that. But with it, it's like none of my other kids will have to worry about getting their tongue sliced open. They would know not to touch the sharp pointy things.
They would feel it. They would feel it.
Yeah. So we wound up for a week, like with fevers and different, we tried 3 antibiotics by the time we were done. Finally, the last one worked. So we were thankful. But now we're kind of back to ground zero again. I'm like, okay, we had to take these off. When can we get them back on? What's the new thing to try? And so, I mean, we had 5 days of doctor's appointments in 7 days. So it's just, and this happens over and over again because we have a chronic condition that underlies, and it's just different. Like she has a series, I called Madison today, actually. I was on the phone with them because she has a tumor in her foot, and it started as 1 tumor, but now it's 6. Well, why are we getting more tumors? They don't know. It doesn't make sense. So now we have to schedule ultrasounds. Then we have to schedule. So like, you just kind of end up living at the hospital, kind of like on and off. And we have, I have my doctors, and I have learned to fire doctors that I just don't work for our family.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to do, is getting rid of people is hard. It's hard, but it's very necessary.
Very necessary.
Yeah. And, like, and trying things, like we try random things, like vision therapy was something we stumbled upon. We never intended on doing it. It didn't make sense to my brain because working in anesthesia. And it was one of the best things and something that really worked. We've tried like NUCA doctors. That's worked. That has actually, her tumor hasn't grown since she started seeing a NUCA doctor. And
amazing.
Yeah, because we end up, we're trying, like, have you ever heard of MNRI? It's a Muscatova type of OT. So it's like this, a lady from Russia developed it, and it's dealing with primitive reflexes. And that's really helped my daughter. She would like grip her hands like this. She didn't have the reflex to like catch herself. and they just work on your body. So you lay there and they work on you. And she described it like this. It's them directly talking to your body. And so they did that, and now she has like she has more normal reflexes, and her legs were really tight. Her whole body was like contractured.
Right.
For years, they wanted to do Botox injections and stuff. And this has helped loosen those muscles. She's not stretching or anything. They're just talking to her brain to be like, this is how you're supposed to behave. And then it works. So like, our therapist had a patient who had severe CP and couldn't walk. And they were trying really hard to get this kid to walk. And he was 3. And she had just gone to this Muscatova method, like conference. And she was like, I've tried everything for 3 years. I'll give this a shot. She does it for the child. In 30 minutes, he's up crawling around.
Wow.
And never crawled before. It doesn't make sense to me because I don't have a background in it.
Right.
But it's something people could look into. Again, another service that I think a lot of times there's some really great services out there we just aren't aware of because they aren't covered by, maybe they aren't covered by insurance, or it's just not really widespread. But if you're willing to, like, we're willing to try stuff because we just want to, like, if it's not going to harm her and there aren't any negative things that can come from it. Like I was like, there's nothing negative that can come from you pressing on my daughter's body. So let's go for it. I don't understand it. I don't need to understand it. But if it has a positive result, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So we've learned to kind of step in the deep end in some stuff, and it's not everything has been a home run at all. Don't get me wrong. We've definitely struck out. But for the most part, like we've had I just feel like God's called us into some things that have been just blessings to us and to her. So
absolutely. And do people sometimes act like she's a Fabergé egg and they don't want to we can't invite her to the pool party. Why?
Yep.
Because she's going through, a treatment. Okay. And so I think people think, I had a little boy that I served for a long time, and he had Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and he could not go to school, not because of school, but because he was in a trial, right?
Yeah.
And you'd fly from Texas to, I think, Cincinnati, right? And he didn't know if he was getting the real one. He actually was getting the real one, ended up speaking at the White House years ago, but he was 14, just sitting in his house, like the impact, and so they need just real stuff at birthday parties and football games and whatever, right? They still need to participate, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's the hardest for her is, and that's one of the reasons we left our private school was the social, like as they got older, kids would exclude. And she's a very, very, very nice girl. She doesn't have any, she's just very kind. But we noticed just kind of like, we're just going to just not invite you anywhere. We'll invite everybody else, but it's just kind of hard to have you because we have to have special. For a while, she couldn't eat any raw vegetables. She couldn't eat any nuts. She couldn't because she only has one vocal cord that works. So she was high risk for aspiration. Or there was a time where I would have to come with because she couldn't be without me because we were just going through so much. And so you're right. Like she was just kind of like excluded because of her diagnosis, not because at school, like they'd talk to her, but then it'd be like, oh, we won't invite her outside because it's just a lot of extra work to have her, even though it really wasn't, but in their mind it was.
Yeah. Cause we don't know. Right. Yeah. And I always say, people struggle, and I'm one of them, to have compassion for something you didn't walk through. Remember before I got divorced, I was like, I can't believe people get divorced. And then I was like, oh, could be me. Right. And so until I had a child that had exceptionalities, I was like, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, that sort of thing. And so, thank you so much for sharing your story and Mia's story. And it's just amazing what you've walked through, and that you found your way. And that's, one of the things that we talk about with special education is I don't think we have enough ROI to really show outcomes that are successful, right? We know that if you live here and your kids went to University of Pennsylvania and University of Texas, we all have these parties and everything, but we don't see the return on investment, even like you're talking about therapies or unknown therapies. And so I have a family that I'm working with right now, and there's a process called type to talk, which seems kind of normal.
Oh, yeah.
But the school district,
all about that. Yep.
School district's not having it because it's not research backed. me typing to talk. Isn't that what you and I did today when we sent text messages? Well, there's no research. I'm like, I am going to hit you over the head with the research. And so I would just say, do what is right for your child. People ask me all the time, Karen, what would you do? Don't ask me because I'll drive you right off a cliff, but you know what's right for your child, right? And we have so many options, and kind of like Sarah said, if it's not going to hurt them, the information that we have now to help kiddos is just limitless. I wouldn't ask other parents because, that aren't walking through what you walk through. I remember when my daughter was born, and James was 2.5, severe autism at the time. And a lady from our church, the church people, and I'm one of them, she came over holding Paige. Paige is perfect. And James was having a fit, and he was, rocking and hitting his head in the sheetrock, the stuff he did every day. And she said, if you let me take him home for the weekend, I can stop that. And she meant it. Oh, so I was like, well, I paid cash for him, so he's going to have to stay. But people have these concepts about how to handle stuff for you. And I just, we just love them and release them because, putting candy bars in their gas tank is illegal. So I'm going to actually see her this summer at a book workshop in Boston. I haven't seen her for 100 years. And people mean well. You know what I mean? They mean well. And they say stuff like, would you have other children? Oh, yeah. And so, we're all working on doing better with that. And sometimes I say, it's just okay not to say anything. You could just not say anything. You could just go, hi, right? You just try to have as much of a normal and healthy relationship with families that are struggling as well. So we're going to put that Lighthouse information in there. That's so, so, so good. I'd never heard of it. We'll also put American Federation for the Blind, American Printing House for the Blind. Additionally, if your child struggles in any way, you can reach out to, in our state, it's called the State Library or Audible Books. Any child that has exceptionalities, they can get audio books for a lifetime. So whether you have a physical disability, a sensory disability, a learning disability, and that's all done through your state level. So thank you for being on, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is honestly, this is great for me because I learned a couple things here that I really needed. So Thank you so much, Karen.
Yes, we'll put all that information up there.
Everything you've been through. What was that?
I said we'll put all of your information at the bottom for all of those services, and we'll post this up on Special Education Academy YouTube forever. So we do better by sharing our stories. And so as I always say, remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And we'll see you guys in the next show. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change, we're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.